Hey, that is a disc sander. Today on Building with Bell, we're talking about disc sanders. So let's get right to it. If you're in my class, you're probably going to have to take some kind of a safety test or fill out kind of a worksheet in order to use the sanders of the machines of any sort in my shop. This is definitely a machine, just like many of the other tools we're going to talk about here on Building with Bell. So let's get right to it. Before changing sandpaper on any machine, especially a small little palm sander or an oscillating spindle sander, you guys might need to change the discs on a disc sander. These are super easy. It's Velcro. You want to line it up on the outside edge, line up the holes if you're using that type of a pad that has holes in it, and make sure the disc is always the right size. Don't use a disc that's too big. If it's flapping all over the place on the outside, not a safe thing. You want to make sure that you always unplug that tool. The plug, make sure it's unplugged when you're changing discs and doing stuff like that. If you're going to service a machine like this, you want to make sure that it's not only off, but the power is turned off. That's very, very important. Okay. You should always wear a mask when using any of these machines. So when you're using a machine like this, the mask is going to protect you from the fine dust that this thing makes. This is going to throw a lot of dust in the air. We do use a dust collection system here in the shop with these dust gates. But you never know how efficient that's going to be. I guarantee you it's not 100% efficient, and you definitely want to wear a mask in addition to that. Dust that accumulates is also combustible. You want to make sure that you're protecting yourself from all the dust that's going everywhere and landing in places and getting it cleaned up. If that dust collects somewhere, every time you turn on anything that's got a power cord to it, anything that's electronic, that has a motor, that motor inside, every time it sparks near the bushings, will create a little spark, and if you got tons of dust in the air, that spark could ignite all that dust, causing a major fire or explosion. So always make sure you're keeping the work area that you're working in clean. Try to keep the dust cleaned up and down to a minimum, and be cautious when you're working with electronics around a dusty tool or any sort of equipment. The next thing is the fact that it's potentially a fire hazard if you're using any sort of sander with a dust bag. So let's take a look at a sander that uses a dust bag. This is a belt sander, and this belt sander has a collection bag on the back of it. This thing is cotton. I don't know if you can see that. It's an old sander, works great, sands really aggressively with a 36 grit belt on there. That's for taking off a lot of material and flattening something out like end grain really fast. But if you're going to use it for metal grinding, you need to change the belt to the right type of belt, and you need to take the bag off of it. You wouldn't want those sparks going into that bag. That will cause a fire. Next, we've got, before connecting sanders to power supplies, you always want to be sure that the switch is in the off or unlocked position, if it's applicable. Some sanders, let's see, does this one? Yeah, this one has it. Let's take a look at what that means. So, I could show you this. This sander right here has a little button on it, and if I pull the trigger and push that button, it holds the trigger in. It pops out and lets the trigger go. That's a trigger lock or a switch lock. You want to make sure that's off and the trigger is off before you start working. Okay? Next, keep power cords from entanglement when moving with the moving parts of your sander. So your power cords should never be anywhere near where they can get hit by the sander. You want to always check them before you start working. Make sure they're in good shape. There's no nicks or dings in them. No possible hazards. Okay. If you have to, you can put it over your shoulder or something like that to keep it out of the way while you're working. Tie something. Have a cord or something hanging from the ceiling that has a hook that you can kind of dangle the cord through to keep the cord up and out of the workway. You got to figure out a safe way to do that using your judgment. Let's see. The next is just in general. You want to make sure that you do not wear any loose clothing. The clothing, if you have anything loose on, you notice my sleeves are rolled up, you know, my shirt's tucked in. I don't have any major dangles. I don't have headphones or something hanging off my shirt, no hoodie straps. I don't want to be able to bend over and have anything dangling that could get caught in a machine. That would be really bad and dangerous. So no loose clothing. Always protect your eyes with safety glasses. You always have to have some kind of protection over your eyes when working. You don't want to wear standard glasses either. You want to have safety glasses with a Z87 rating when doing any sort of work with power tools or machines. Next one says disc sanders should only be used with proper sized discs per the manufacturer's recommendation. Either hook and loop or adhesive. So is going to attach the disc. This is attached with adhesive. I have to peel this off and spray glue on here and stick this thing on here, and the disc is right flush with the edge. It's really perfectly sized. Same thing with these little hook and loop sanders. You want to use the discs that are the right size. So our next question comes up with when using stationary sanders, material should always be supported against the table. So this is a stationary sander because it doesn't move, it doesn't go anywhere, it stays right there. And when you're using this particular sander, you want to make sure that you're supporting the material against the table. But you also, that means no freehand sanding. So I'm not holding this thing up in the air while I'm sanding it, because it could accidentally take it and slap it down, and it could smash my hand, or it could throw it and grab it, pulling it out of my hand. That would be dangerous. The thing you need to be aware of with the disc sander though, which I will mention many times in this class if you're taking my class, is that you always make sure you use the downside. So come here, come closer. If you turn on the sander, I just turned it on and off real quick, you'll notice the disc is turning that way. That means that is the downside. This is the side turning up. So we only want to sand on that downside. This would be dangerous because it would throw the board upwards. Supported against the table, this type of sanding right here will be supported tight against the table, and it won't move on us. Stop that for safety. You always want to make sure that this is stopped before you leave the machine, and make sure that it's safe. All right, let's come back to our wide view here. All right, so the next one is when using stationary sanders, you always want to make sure that you're not only secured against the table, but you want to make sure that all the small pieces are securely supported in some kind of clamp or tool or vice grips, or depending on the size of the piece. You never want to have a really small piece being brought to the sander that you're trying to support with your fingers, because it can get thrown, or your fingers then are too close to the sanding disc itself, and that puts you in a dangerous position. If you have to, you're better off clamping that small piece maybe in a bench vise and taking a different type of sander to it to keep your fingers out of harm's way. Never potentially put yourself in a position where if something goes wrong, it's likely to result in injury. Okay, the next one here says, on a stationary sander, using 1/16 of an inch maximum clearance or gap must be maintained between the table and the sanding disc or belt. So the little gap that's right here in the table, that's between this disc and this table, that should never be more than about a 1/16 of an inch. And the reason is because you don't want small things getting sucked and pulled in there and wedging themselves. So like I said, you want to try to avoid sanding small things, but if that gap is really small, it'll be less likely that there's an injury that takes place. Okay, before tracking a belt on a sander, now this is talking about belt sanders. Before tracking a belt on a sander, be sure that the sander is supported properly to avoid accidental contact with yourself or anything else nearby. So when you're trying to track a sander, you're typically going to have this thing held upside down, and as the belt is turning, you're going to have to turn this little tracking wheel, or whatever your sander looks like. It's going to have some kind of tracking wheel or adjustment nut or something, and that takes this front little wheel here, and it tracks it this way or this way until the belt stays center between the two wheels. That's very important to make sure your machine has proper tracking, and as you add pressure to the belt and it heats up, the tracking may change, and you might have to make a very small adjustment, an eighth turn in one direction, an eighth turn in another, to keep it tracking down the center so the belt doesn't move towards the sander and start tearing up the sander, or move off the sander and eventually fly off the machine altogether. You want to keep watch of that as you're using the machine and make sure that you're staying in a good position with tracking. Okay, let's take a look at this next one here. It says, when using a portable sander, never force downward pressure on it. The weight of the tool applies adequate pressure, and forcing too much pressure can cause it to stall, overheat the tool, or even burn the workpiece, damaging whatever it is that you're sanding and the sanding pads. So we're primarily talking about palm sanders and disc sanders like this. This is an orbital disc sander, and if you're sanding with this thing, you actually don't want to scrub with it really fast. You want to keep it on the workpiece with the weight of the tool by itself. You don't need any more than maybe your hand resting on it. If you push down, you're just going to damage the tool over time. You're going to heat up the little Velcro plastic pieces on the bottom, and it's going to become damaged. You're going to wear the tool out faster. It's not going to do work much faster for you. The main thing that you really need to know about that is that when you're doing that, you're adding more sanding work because the tool is likely to introduce little pigtail swirl marks instead of properly sanding and removing all the scratches. So you really don't want to do that. It's not really effective for you, and it's not effective for the tool. Let's see. My next bullet point or question for you guys would be, when sanding with a stationary or spiral sander or a belt sander, always sand against the direction of the abrasive. So if you're using any sort of stationary sander, it could be a spindle sander. Here, I'll tell you what, let's come over here. Let's see if you guys can see my spindle sander. We'll move this disc sander, or sorry, this belt sander out of your way, and we'll take a look for a second at this oscillating spindle sander. So this thing is an oscillating spindle sander because it moves. I'm not sure if this is tightened right now, so yeah, I don't want to turn this on. It needs to be tightened. But this moves up and down as it's rotating. And if it rotates in this direction, that means when something is introduced to it, it's going to want to go that way. If it rotates in the other direction, of course, something's going to want to go that way. For you to go against the direction it wants to throw the piece, that would be safe. So let's say it's going this way. If it wants to push the piece that way when it touches, that means you should be sanding in this direction. Does that make sense? You'll have control pulling your piece this way as opposed to trying to push it that way, which the machine could then grab and then pull it out of your hands faster than you are really trying to move in that direction. So you don't want to do that. Always move against the direction here. My next fact here, when sanding with stationary disc sanders, always sand on the downside of the disc, right? On the downward side of the disc when moving towards the supporting table. So whichever side of the disc is going towards the table, that's the side of the disc you use. Super important, otherwise the wood's going to punch you in the nose and it'll remind you later, and I'll have to say I told you so. Hopefully it didn't hurt too much. Let's see. When using a portable sander, always make sure it has come to a complete stop before you walk away. That's very important. Or before you set anything down near the table or anything. You want to make sure that these machines stop, and if you walk away, no one else is going to come up to them and accidentally get hurt thinking they're not moving because they may not be paying attention, and you don't know. Small material must be secured with a clamp or a holding device to maintain clearance from fingers. Always use something to hold on to that small piece. So if this was your small piece of wood, this is actually an eraser, a large art eraser that we use for cleaning the disc. It's really good for that. But if this was what we were sanding and it was too small to hold on to, and our fingers would be too close to the disc, we could put this in a clamp and hold on to the back of the clamp and get this thing, sanded without getting our fingers close, just in case. Let's look at this next one here. It says small material must be secured with some kind of clamp holding device. We just went over that one. I was just checking to see if you were listening. All right. Do not sand work that has excess glue or finish on the surface without scraping it first. Glue can be a really hard chunk of material dried on the surface, and we do not want it to mess up our sanding abrasives, whatever that is, on any machine. Last one here says, these materials end up clogging and ruining the sandpaper. Sorry, that was about the glue, actually. The glue chunks, if that gets sanded into the paper, will clog the grit, and this eraser will not clean it out. Sorry, this is my last one here. Always keep fingers clear of the disc or belt while sanding, and use a push stick or push blocks if necessary. You can use something else to hold onto the material. There are push blocks that have pads on them. You can push down on the table and move in and out with them. You don't want to put a ton of forward pressure, but downward pressure with light forward pressure. If they've got a little heel on the back of them, then you can use them to effectively hook onto your material and move in and out. That would be a nice safe tool and way to do that. So just make sure you're using common sense, thinking about whatever you're doing, making sure that whatever you do, if something could go wrong that you can think about, you're in a position where you're not going to get hurt. Always think safety first. And remember that this is an oscillating spindle sander. It moves up and down and spins. That was a disc sander. And then, oh, we've got one more we didn't show you. You want to see the other one? Maybe? I think you do. Let's come over here. We have 2 of these machines in my shop, which is pretty cool. This here is our edge sander. Ta-da! It sands the edge. Please do not sand end grain on the edge sander. The edge is designed, or don't do faces, okay? Maybe we can do the end grain sometimes, but not always. Let me show you why. Let's grab that piece of wood we were using. So, if this is our project piece here, and we're trying to get this down to the edge, I can safely hold this here on the machine where my hands are resting on the table. Just my fingers are doing movement, so I'm not really pushing myself towards the sander. I can't reach it. And I can sand perfectly to the line. Okay, no problem. I could, with support from some kind of a tool like this miter gauge, I could also do the end here. The edge sander would then be supporting with the miter gauge, supporting the back of this so it doesn't tear out. Without support, that will tear out, causing an injury possibly, or a problem on your project, damage, whatever. Not a good situation in any case. So, end grain must be supported if you're sanding it. Face grain sanding, there's no way to do this without getting your fingers dangerously close to that disc. This is never allowed on this type of sander. It's a horrible idea. If you need to sand the face, use a palm sander or something with your hand while this is clamped to a table. That's definitely the better way to go. If you have any other questions about sanders, you know how to reach me. I'll see you next time on Building with Bell.